Nintendo versus Sega was and always will be one of the greatest rivalries to ever grace the video game market. During the days of the Super Nintendo and the Genesis going at it, they were the consoles of choice, and all the other systems like the TurboGrafx and Neo Geo were just flash in the pans. Now when Sega released their CD add-on for the Genesis, Nintendo quietly wanted a piece of that pie, and partnered up with Sony to make a CD peripheral for the Super Nintendo. However, during development, Nintendo decided to partner up with Philips, Sony's industry rival, instead and get a more favorable contract than the one they were in. This was of course a shock to Sony, but it didn't stop them from going ahead and developing its own console based on the work done with Nintendo. And when it finally came to be, nobody was ready. Not even Nintendo. It's the PlayStation 1. The 5th generation of gaming was really kicking in, with a few advanced systems already making their way into the market, and Sega releasing their latest system, the Saturn, ahead of Sony. But when this PlayStation got released, you could not underestimate the power of it. The PlayStation 1 or PS1 was released on September 9th, 1995, and ENOS lived on that day, and the brand still lives on since then. The PS1 made such an impact during its 9-year plus run. In fact, it was the first video game console, or computer entertainment system, to reach 100 million units sold. Nintendo must have realized they made a huge mistake when Sony could tout those numbers. With an unforgettable design like this, you're gonna need an unforgettable controller to go along with it. This controller has endured through so many generations, and has been updated many times to go with them. The evolution of the PlayStation controller can be a review all on its own, but the original is reserved for its own AC review. So I'm gonna set it aside for the time being. Now when we take a closer look at the controller ports, you can see above them are slots that say memory card on them. That of course means you can insert these cards into the slot, and they'll act as save data when you play your games. The memory lies in this little card. The power of the PlayStation grows to supreme level. Don't know where that came from, but now we're on the top of the system, where we can find the PlayStation logo neatly placed on the lid, along with the reset, power, and open buttons. I'll also mention briefly that the PS1 games are CD-ROMs, but they are black on the back. They look more like vinyl CDs, which are an actual media, by the way. On the back of the system, of course, we have the AC in and AV multi-out to power the system up, but there are more elsewhere. For panning over to the other side of the PS1, we find the serial I/O and parallel I/O, which you can open like so. The serial connector was used for peripherals like the link cable, for use with multiplayer games on separate systems, and the parallel in-out, which is what I/O means, forgot to mention that, was never really used for anything. In the original model, this wasn't on the system. They added it on to later versions to use it for something, I assume, but it never came to be. For games, the PS1 has its own library of CD-ROM titles as previously mentioned, and it isn't on short supply of classics. From Crash Bandicoot, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil, and I could go on if I wanted because there are just so many great games. So if you come across a PS1 at an undeniable price, this is a system that you need to pick up, so you can feel for yourself the power of Sony's first entry into the video game market. As they said loud and clear, there is a third choice to be had now. It's the PlayStation 1. It really sucks when you inadvertently create your own competition, but it's worrisome when a former competitor comes back into the market and with a better system than your own. Which is why in the next episode we're going back to the days when Atari was just coming into their own with the 2600, but Magnavox came in with the better system that was programmed by you.
If you think I missed anything, please leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others could get knowledge out of this, share this video. And if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Now if you'll excuse me, nostalgia is calling.